Hey, all right, everybody. How's it going? Now, I got an article by Hugh in front of me, and it's from Motor Trade News. And the article, the actual headline says, Autotrader finds 90% of EV drivers never go back to ICE. 90%. That's quite a big number. So 90% of EV drivers are very happy driving electric cars. Now, and I'm one of them people. I do prefer to drive an electric car than a petrol or diesel car. And even though I've driven petrol and diesel cars most of my life, so I know, the comparison, I can compare the different vehicles, I much prefer driving, as a driving proposition, an electric car to me is far nicer. It's just nicer to drive. Everything about it is nicer. So the article by Hugh from Autotrader. Now, I know that there might be some anti-EV types. There are anti-EV types who keep coming back to my channel. And there's one person in particular I want to talk about. I don't know who his name is or what he's called, because I can't remember the original YouTube name he had, because I think he's made at least 15 different YouTube profiles to try and come onto my comments and attack not just me, but other people making comments as well. So if somebody does comment on your comment, right, okay, and if you go and look at the actual person, and what I mean by a comment is not factual, it's just based purely on his emotions. Like, for example, he said yesterday, he's been deleted again, by the way, he said yesterday, when EVs get to 50%, it'll be like bonfire night because there'll be fires everywhere. Now, if he was a man who understood data and statistics, and he used them methods to logically perceive the world, okay, then he'd understand that if EVs got to 50%, he meant 50% of all vehicles on the road, then in fact it wouldn't be like bonfire night, it'd be less fires, because that's what the data shows. Okay, now I know the anti-EV types are going to go, yeah, but the fire's worse. But if we talk about actual fires, there'll be less fires if all cars were 50% electric, because the statistics show, and the data, that EVs catch fire less than petrol, diesel and hybrid. So that's the data. You can try and argue against the data, but then you look like an idiot. So if you're arguing against the data that's been collected and you're just using your own emotions, then you look like a complete fool. People can see it in the comment section, and you look like an idiot. So people like that, who say things like that, are outside the realms of reality. They're the kind of people I will remove from the channel. I know I've gone on a bit of a ramble by Hugh. I've gone off from what I started by Hugh, but this is directed to the person who is going to make another YouTube profile yet again, because I keep removing him. Look, I'm removing you, so just go away. Go away. Nobody wants to hear nonsense, okay? If you've got a valid argument against EVs, my ears are open. I'm willing to listen to people who say, if somebody says to me, I don't want an EV because at the moment I tow a caravan and it's not viable, absolutely fine. That's fine. But if you're going to say a load of old ghoulies, then I'm just going to delete you, okay? Now, this person might think that he's not talking ghoulies, but you are. So I'll put a little thing up on the screen now. This was the last thing he said before I deleted him, and basically he thinks it's his mission to come into my comment section and try and have a go at me and other people who like EVs. Now, like I said, if he if he was sensible, okay, and he made, sense, he was using data and facts instead of emotions, because I did find out that he drives a 20-year-old car, so there might be a little bit of fear, there might be a little bit of jealousy, a bit of fear of the future, where he thinks his 20-year-old car is not going to be viable anymore. That might be the fear factor. The jealousy might be that he just doesn't like people having newer cars than him. I don't know. I don't know what fuels these people. I don't know what fuels their mind. I haven't got a clue. But anyway, so he's a bit of a stalker, like an anti-EV stalker on steroids, basically. So he thinks it's his mission to come and attack my channel. But I keep deleting him, and he keeps making a new profile. And I can see it because you just click on him, and it says YouTube profile created today. So you'll probably have a new one today, and I'll delete him again. So if you're watching this video, matey, whatever your name is, your name's been Bill, Andy, Pete, I don't know what your name is because you keep making up different names. If you're watching this, every time you make a comment, I know it's you, and I'm going to delete you, and all your comments are not on my channel anymore. If you want to talk sense, right, and be logical, okay, and normal, absolutely fine. But if you want to talk a load of ghoulies, on your bike, son, okay? Now, anyway, with that rant out of the way, and if you see him, if you see the guy with the brand new channel, tell me, and I'll get rid of him straight away. I'm not arguing with anymore because he doesn't make any sense. Right, okay, so this article by Hugh, Motor Trade News, Autotrader finds 90% of EV drivers never go back to ICE. The research was part of an initiative by Autotrader intended to combat misinformation surrounding EVs. Now, we all know there's a lot of misinformation surrounding EVs. And he said the research, let me just get rid of this a second. Research by Autotrader has found that 9 in 10 electric vehicle drivers never go back to a vehicle powered by an internal combustion engine. It also found that EVs last as long as ICE cars, despite concerns from the public that EV batteries only last a few years. Now that myth has been going on for at least... When did Jeremy Clarkson take that... That was over 15 years ago, surely, wasn't it? Something like, was it 2009 when he took the Roadster on the Top Gear? And that myth is still going today. The research was part of the initiative by Autotrader intended to combat misinformation surrounding EVs, presenting a series of facts for consumers. The initiative is backed by the Department for Transport, the British Vehicle Rental and Leasing Association, Cox Automotive, ChargeUK, EVA England, and the Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders, SMMT. So there we go. So that was a study. It also said by here at the end, the research also found that drivers save an average of £1,500 a year in running costs by switching to an EV. That's obviously if you've got a home charger or if you just charge at home. Some people, like my brother for instance, he's got an EV and they haven't got a dedicated charger at home. They just use the granny charger. So it's as easy as that. Everybody's got a plug in their house, so everybody can charge a car. I know people are going to argue and say, there's 40% haven't got... there's a bit of a noise going on outside there. I don't know what it is. And the dog's barking as well. That's better. Right. Set the dog off now, whatever the noise was. And it's made me lose my train of thought. Now, I do understand that 40% of the people in the UK cannot charge at home. Well, I say 40%. That number is decreasing because... certain councils have allowed gully charging. So the 40% number is going to decrease very slowly. Now, I know people are going to say, well, what about people who live in flats? I know, I understand that, okay? I understand completely. It's easier for people like me who have driveways. It's easier and it's cheaper, I know. But that number is getting smaller and smaller because of things like the gully charging, which is allowed by certain councils across the UK. So that's basically what I wanted to say today. And also, another thing I wanted to mention as well, a bit of a waffle this video. I keep seeing more and more EVs on the road, especially in these last couple of weeks. I've seen a lot of 2025 reg EVs. And there's a road I drive up which is about a mile long, maybe a little bit longer than a mile. And when I drove down it yesterday, I seen loads of EVs coming in the opposite direction. Loads. More than I've ever seen before. So when people like Not Jeff say they're hiding cars everywhere and they're nowhere to be seen, they're everywhere to be seen because I'm seeing them everywhere. And most of the people who comment in the comment section tell me that they see more EVs on the road. It's true. Your eyes tell you can see more EVs on the road. And I have seen quite a lot of 2025 reg EVs. What I haven't seen is a lot of 2025 reg diesel vehicles because they're few and far between. They are the lowest new selling car out of all vehicles at the moment. But like I've said in the past, it's funny how these anti-EV type mainstream media articles never seem to mention diesel sales are non-existent. I don't know why that is, because it is a stark difference to when it was, I think it was something like 56% of new car sales were diesel if you go back to just before the Volkswagen diesel scandal. And now I think it's about 6%, isn't it? So it's a massive difference. Anyway, that video was a bit of a waffle, but like I said, this article here, 90%. 90%. That's a massive number of people happy with buying an electric vehicle and liking it. And I know from the people who comment down below, nearly every single person says they enjoy their EV. So that sort of ties in with this by here. Now I know comments down below isn't actual data, but this is data by here. And if you're an anti-EV type and you want to argue data, come and argue data, but you just look like a daft whatever. Anyway, if you did like this video, don't forget to give it a like, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Ahoy!